Hey guys, my name is Skye. This is JJ. We are doing the Raw Food Podcast. We are both raw vegans, high raw vegans, and we are going to do part 2 today of where to get help as a raw vegan. Raw food saved my life and got JJ out of a lot of pain, and this is why we do this. So, hey JJ.
Hey, good to see you. So glad to be back.
It's good
And
to be.
another beautiful podcast here to talk with all of our lovely people out there in YouTube land and Facebook land.
Yes, it's good. It's good to be back. It's good to be back and doing this. And so we spoke last time. Let me bring these up on, like, I think it's really valid topic, right? Like where to get help as a raw vegan. Because the one thing I've learned about healing is the more options you have, the better you heal. So when I healed myself, yes, the raw food really helps, but so does sunlight, nature, exercise, low stress, music, journaling, grounding. Like the more you add to that basket, the better you do. Also, if a wheel falls off of one of them, you've still got the rest of the basket, right? So if you, I just say you have a bad day where you don't eat like much raw food, hopefully you've still done your exercise, your grounding, you've got a good support network. And this is essentially the same thing, like where you want to get your feet in so many different options when it comes to, you know, finding ways to do raw and getting help with it. So let me just go over what we touched on last time.
hmm
um, some places to get support. So there's online groups and communities, there's social media, there's books and ebooks, and there's YouTube, podcasts, coaches and mentors. And we've gone through all of that. And I'm not sure where we actually stopped because I've got next. Did we touch on retreats and workshops?
I don't think so. I remember books because I shared the short clip of us talking about the five books that you mentioned. Um, and
Yes.
then I think, I don't remember workshops and retreats coming up. I could
So,
be
well,
wrong.
anyway, I holding a retreat with Tony next year, in fact, which is over in Thailand, which will be amazing experience. Not
Oh,
just
wow.
because there will be like workshops there, you will learn. There will be a raw chef coming in, so you'll get help with food. There'll be things like sound bars and walking in the jungle and getting fresh fruit and things like that. But you connect to a community. Like when you meet people in person and start to talk through what you're going through and build a bond, um, it is really helpful. Also, I touched yesterday on a podcast because I had a week off and how I wasn't on social media. So I wasn't doing like videos. I wasn't talking to my friends online so much. I've been unwell. And Sunday afternoon, I was going for a walk and my body was really wanting to go back to old habits. It
hmm
was like, I just want to do what everybody around me is doing because usually I'm so supported, right? By
hmm
people, and I feel like I'm part of a community. But by Sunday, I was like, I felt like I needed to connect to something, and everyone is like having food I don't eat. They're having drinks and watching bands, like alcohol, watching bands play. And so I think getting back to retreats and events is if you can connect with people in person, I think that takes it to a whole new level.
I agree. I completely agree. And you just reminded me because I have this amazing group of women that is the Amazing VIP Club, and then, I mean, Amazing Transformers VIP, and the Gladiators women that I work with. And we have a chat, and it's just so amazing that we can just share our food and we can just come bounce things off each other. It doesn't even have to be about the raw food diet, but it can come back around to that. But it's good to just speak to people who are like-minded on the same path as you, because it really is so important in like the day-to-day life, like you just mentioned. We're in our regular life around people who are um, just doing their regular thing. They might not have identified or even know about this lifestyle, and it's hard to relate to people. So it's awesome to have that community, but also it helps you to be able to deal with the people in your regular life too, just to come to
Mm,
someone and say, hey, this is what's going on with me. in a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of even humor, like whatever it is, it's great to have people around you who have that same core values that you have right now about dealing, like how people treat their health, because it really makes a difference to have that. I'm so in love with these online communities, and like Facebook is good, but I really find that when you get into the YouTube chats, it's like a family here, like the people that come join us, and then also having like the communities that you can even get to know people even beyond that, if you can make friends or accountability partners, or like how I have in my community, just to basically like a messenger chat, but it's good to have people right there from all over the world. So usually, no matter what time it is,
Yeah.
there's someone around.
Yeah. It's about creating real friendships. I find when we get on this lifestyle, most people in at least the first year of being raw, if not 2 years, you are very defensive. And I think it serves a purpose to protect you, right? You will be very like, it's almost you're angry. I think when you find raw foods, there's a level of anger um, that people around you aren't eating this way and they're complaining about being sick, and you feel very triggered. You feel very kind of hurt that you missed a lot of your life not knowing about this. Kind of like, I find most people, including myself, the first 2 years you can become very defensive. Like you learn something new in the raw community and that's like solid. That's it. That's the way it is. But
Yeah.
what's really important for my soul and what you're talking about is friendships and kindness and support. And it's so hard already. And I spoke about this in one of my lives, how, someone was newer to this lifestyle and doing like a Dr. Morse type way and kind of putting down what people were saying in the comments, putting down kind of what I'm saying, that this is all wrong. And I'm like, can you imagine working so hard on yourself that you got to high raw lifestyle and you came online and you were so proud, and then a whole lot of people just decided to put you down, right?
Yeah.
So that's not what you want. And that's why friendships, community, support, events where people will embrace you exactly where you are tomorrow, where you are next week, I think is really crucial. Online, it feels like for me, that's like a soul thing. Like my soul feels safer being connected to people like that. Like when I'm out, as I said, being disconnected, you drift. I felt like I was on a river being swept away, like
Yeah,
with everybody
that's
else.
it.
So
And I think that that's what we always want to talk about here too, is there are a lot of different types of communities, and I find that some of us who have been in this a little bit longer, in a sense, or at least have come to a different headspace, because I find it goes through phases, and it's really important when you're a beginner. That's the easiest time to retreat back to old habits or old ways. And I find that having a supportive community that's not telling you you're doing everything all wrong, but celebrating the things you're doing right,
yes.
um, is so important, and understanding not discounting your emotions or what you're going through in life. If someone's telling you just toughen up, yeah, we all want to be tough, right? But life happens. These emotional things happen, and how you work through that, I think, is so important to, not put yourself down, and you certainly don't want people around you putting you down.
Yeah, and so Bazaar has said, I wish I could find a community around me. There's community everywhere. And this is why we're doing this, like where to get help, because, you can read a book and you can go, just say you read a book on it and you go follow that person who wrote the book. And I'm thinking right now, just because I'm about to do book club next week, and this is a different topic, this isn't even raw foods. Um, but you can go in their comments and you can see other people commenting and you can interact. So there's some sort of community, right? You can comment on YouTube videos. There's more community. There's so many communities that are free and paid, but starting with free. that you can choose to be in and out of. So there's more community. Every time you watch a video, you're part of a community. It doesn't really change for people like JJ and myself. I live by myself. I don't know any raw vegans that live near me. Oh, I have like a little group. We meet up, once every 3 months, but that has been work. So when I first did that, I think two of us showed up. But you got to keep doing it. And you invite the vegetarians, you invite the vegans. You have to look at what you have available, because we come into this with a mindset of lack for sure. But there is community everywhere. And what we're trying to do here is, where you get help with the raw diet, is embrace all of it. Embrace as much of it as you can, because if one wheel falls off, just say one group you don't like how they're going, your whole world won't fall down. Like, just say
Mhm.
you even have one raw vegan friend in real life, and that's what's keeping you going, and you lose them, you'll
Or
fall
they
down.
or they go off the
Yeah, they
diet,
go off,
right?
and that's their life, right? But if you've got all these networks in, where you've gone and you've got and a lot of these, most of my strong bonds are not even in paid communities. They're in, like, people I've met online. And most of the time, I'm not on camera talking to JJ. I would be, if I want to reach out and talk to her, I just message her. If I want to talk to my friends, I just message them. We're not on camera all the time, so it's not really any different. But a lot of interaction as well, in comments, in books, and just, you've got to create your own life. But and that's, yeah, why we're doing this.
I love it. And like, you don't like, I loved what you just said too. The more the merrier, and it'll help you to find your space, find your people that you resonate with, and where you are in your journey. You can also find people, usually in communities, that are at different levels. So eventually you'll reach out and help a beginner in that community, more than likely, once you have found something that works. Like, that's another thing. I was thinking today about this acronym focus that I learned online: follow one course until successful. And I really like that. And the reason was, it's kind of like that with this diet, and success can have a wide range of meanings, but this is not a linear journey, like you start and then now I'm raw vegan, right? It's like
For sure.
you just stick to it. You figure out different things. You might change what you're eating, who the communities you're in, but as you're navigating your way through it, you all of a sudden realize, when somebody else says, "Hey, I don't like greens," and you come up and say, "Hey, I tried this dressing," or whatever, like, I'm just making something up now, but you realize, "Hey, I know a little bit more than I thought, and I'm now giving back to this community." And I think that's another beautiful thing about community too, is we've all been through most of the same ups and downs of the diet, and had the same things happen that might have set us back a little bit, or made us think, is this, a question is always welcomed in my community, and I know in yours too, Sky, in our comments, because sometimes it can feel like you can't have any questions. And sometimes you want to hear it from a person, not just Google chat bot or whatever asking it. And it's really nice to be able to ask questions in communities, and have a community of welcoming that's going to answer you know, your questions, and as a beginner, especially.
Yeah, and I think what is really important is to stay sane on this lifestyle, is don't become dogmatic. Because I feel like I even went down the dogmatic route once again in the first couple of years, where
Hmm.
you, like, we just eat fruit. If you're not eating fruit, you're not doing the right thing, Sky. Everything else is kind of like, you just don't want to touch that. And then when you get sick, you get into a real battle with yourself. And what I've learned, the most healthiest I am, is to embrace it all. Like, find out, like, there's so many different varieties and ways to do raw foods. My body wants to do it differently at different times. And I don't shun any of it. Like, I think, and that's what I'm trying to say here, is like, pick what really works for you. Sometimes you might be in a community more than others, but spend that time embracing and connecting versus fighting and disagreeing, because we only get a limited amount of energy. Right? So put that energy into things which you want to blossom, and you want you to blossom. So ask questions, especially, like, I really don't know whether anybody has how is it, the right to be like, I have this exact diet that's supposed to work perfectly if you haven't done it for at least 10 years. The changes that happen in the body, and what I do know, and I've gone a bit off topic here, it's just come up so much lately, that what I do notice is men seem to do much better, as I'm talking about men my age, with the fruits and fasting than women do.
Mhm.
So also look at who you're following. And I saw another quote that I forgot I really admire and was really true to my heart when I was healing, and that is, don't take advice off anybody you don't want to become. So if there's somebody that you see that's doing things that you don't want, it's like, and this always, when I first started healing, I was like, why did I used to go to so many doctors that looked so unwell,
Mhm.
thinking that they could help me? They can't even look after themselves. Like,
Yeah, I
how
would
are they
say
supposed to help me?
something else too, I'll say just to touch on that about the who you want to be. Like, I feel completely in a lot of senses like different than I did when I even first started this diet as a woman over 45 now than I was 42, and now I'm 48, and hormones and everything start changing. And
Yes.
maybe like when I first started, if I had, ate fully really raw, very low fat, I could lose weight, and I did. But now it's a little more difficult for me if I do fluctuate. Let's say I hit the dates up a little bit too much, right? The food dates, not going on dates. Don't worry, don't. But I if that's the case, I can put on and it was just so different, like, I can feel my shape of my body is different, so for
Yes.
someone that might be dogmatic telling a woman, "Well, you're just not doing it right," it really is so important, I find, being in a community, not all the communities have to be that way, but I find having a community of, like, women sometimes have different, like you said, can handle different things differently. Like with the fruit, I find most women, especially over 45, we find that less fruit might even work better at certain points in time for us. So, be open. I know right now, if you just started this diet and you just learned everything right now, you know that you want to just go live in a fruit tree. I get it. I did too.
Yeah.
But be open, because things do change. And, as especially as a woman, I find, and I'm going to say over 40 is what I always say on my videos, but I mean over 45 it's changed, and I'm sure 50 and 60 all there will be differences, and that's okay. We're just following this course to be as healthy as we can be, put as many raw natural foods in that we can, and feel like our best self, both mentally, physically, everything. So however we get there and navigate that is so important.
Yeah, I think just briefly off the back of that, and women's health as well, is you have to understand is, do you remember the turmoil that you went into when you first went through getting you like puberty, when you were like, from essentially the hormones change from 8, but let's say from like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. To me, even when I think back, I know I was quite sick being young, even with hormone issues, but it takes even like, and kids and teens, you're in your prime, like you are, like that's when you're getting these massive hormonal changes in your prime. And so like the healthiest your body's going to be, your body isn't as healthy as that at 40, right? And so you go through these massive changes which take your body through a period of like, let's say 4 or 5 years for each person. And then you notice, and even when you look at girls, there's today, or I say girls because we're talking about women's health, is you do see that they stabilize. So they'll find a way that works for their body, and they're doing, like, when they're going through it, you see them usually put on weight in different areas of their body's changing, they're
Yeah.
uncomfortable, things are growing. But by the time you're like 16, 17, you find that there's more, they learn, right? So at 40, a lot of women have had kids, right? They've lived, like a lot has gone on. They've got kids, they're raising kids, they've worked full time. I keep saying kids because that's a huge trauma on their body, right? They're a lot older. And now your body's about to lose hormones which support you. Like,
Yeah.
so at least when you're younger, you're gaining a whole lot of hormones which are putting you into this cyclic rhythm that's very protective. And so
So
it's
true.
so important that you find something to nurture this change, because the change is perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. And postmenopause, once again, is like that teenager who hit 17 or 18, which I'm in. I had a chemical. What I did was put in chemical menopause at 29 and then had a surgical menopause at 30. So I've been post-menopause for almost 15 years. But that was like massive, and I won't go into it in this podcast. But what I'm trying to get at here is it's so varied and so hard to go through that. Don't be out there knocking people trying to find things that are going to support their body and themselves. And different people find different ways to work. And the one thing that is apparent as a woman once this change starts to happen is everything can feel like a stress on the body. So sometimes you're doing high fruit, it feels like you're not getting enough support. Sometimes you do fats and you feel supported, but then it feels sluggish. So
It
it's
feels too
like this,
much.
it's this push and pull. And in truth, I've almost found that my body likes to tell me exactly what it wants at different times. It loves greens and fats, but then my digestion likes fruit for a little period. Like it's a
Mhm.
real, and I think it's all about that point that your body isn't protected and growing, and it's got growth hormones, and it's got all this like abundance of like peptides, which are like,
And don't
you
be
know,
afraid to shift. Like, don't get caught in one way of doing things, because if it's going back to your old diet and going back to health conditions, I never wanted to do that. So any way I could keep as much raw food as possible and feel good all the way around. Like, mentally, physically, like that's so important too, because if you're going around feeling deprived and you're really not feeling
yes,
good about yourself, not feeling good in the moments, you're not compassionate, able to connect, that is something that might even lead back to how your diet's going. And when I let all of that go, all of those rules, I have a general knowledge, of course, because I'm trying to help others, but just in the really strict diets that I've had in the past, we come from that as women because we're so used to the Weight Watchers, and then you come into this lifestyle and it's detox, and there's a lot of things that are just programmed in us. And when I let go and said, you know what, I'm going to do the best I can every day to stay as high raw as I possibly can. And there's certain points in time where, like you just mentioned, I've been only eating fruit. I've been only eating
yeah,
salads. I've been eating fruit and salad in another way around. Like now it's like more salad, a little bit of fruit, and even some I've added in some cooked food from time to time. And that seems to work for me. That doesn't take me in this cycle of I'm all fruit, I'm back on cooked food. I'm all fruit, I'm back on
yes.
cooked food.
And I do
And
think there's a
and I
battle
love that.
there. Like I
I just
do
want to be
think
as healthy as possible, right?
Yeah, and I do think you cracked the nail on the head there, where most people will find that they're trying to find this, like, I'll do 80-10-10, I'll do Dr. Brooke Goldner, I'll do Dr. Morse, or, something. And if they waver off that, they've got it wrong. And that's that real programming and conditioning, which I feel it's about your soul wanting to let go of. Like it
Mhm.
really is about this journey that the best I feel is when I'm in alignment with myself, as opposed to an alignment of a book, of an alignment with a group. Why it's so important to use all these, like be involved in communities, groups, events, podcasts, comment on posts, get
And
involved
be
in conversation.
vulnerable,
But
let us know.
yeah, that's right. But also, if you don't agree with what one person's saying, you've got a plethora of other communities where you can connect and meet all different people. So I think that's like, it's just never put all your eggs, or like put all your durian in one basket. Spread it out, spread
Yeah,
your wings, and don't be like, yeah, just that's really, and that I think the greatest mindset to have is to learn even off your enemies, like people that, I say enemies, people you don't agree with, because I swear the universe puts these things in your face so that one day you actually have to cross that road and walk their sort of path, and you'll be like, oh, was I so harsh on that person?
that's it,
That's
and
the
I
universe will do that.
yeah.
Anytime the universe stirs something up in me that somebody else is doing, I know in a couple months time I will have to walk those shoes. Like, and so I just don't judge. I go, that's interesting. And or I just, you know I do my thing. So
I
um
think it also, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but as, people who are in we have communities and and we do some coaching, it makes me a better coach to have come to this point in my journey because I'm able to allow that person to be where they are in the journey. I don't think that sometimes when we're too early on, it's good because we can identify with where they are, but when we haven't come full circle to let go of all that restriction and rules and, just everything that's piled into us. It's like information overload. We're reading every book, we're reading every article, we're looking at all these different ones. I'm like, well, she said this and he said that and she said this. And it's like, so just to kind of come into your own and figure out how it works for you, how it works for Skye, how it works for JJ, how it works for, hey, Mallory, good to see you. Sorry you had a long day. Glad you're hanging.
And Carl is there. It
Carl.
It's so if you can find you against the noise, like it because there's so much noise there, right? It's like do this, do that, do this. But in truth, this lifestyle before I get into this, I wanted to also say the thing that makes me the greatest coach is that it's so this is what life's like is the thing that scared me the most about being happening while I'm a coach, and that is getting sick. Like, am I you first, because when I first got well, I was really, really well. And then I had struggles. But I'll tell you, coming through those struggles publicly and have
That's going to
people
help
can
more than
see it.
ever.
And it does. It's
Hmm.
like the thing, and the universe is like this. It's the thing that scares you the most. Usually you go through and it gives you the best results because a lot of people who contact me have similar issues to me. And they're
Hmm.
like, how did you go through that? I also have this. And I'm like, well, as the years progress and I go through more ups and downs, I get more tools in my belt. It's the wounded healer, right? It's like you grow up thinking that, being a doctor, being in university is the most amazing thing. But nobody wants even the person straight out of university, right? They want the doctor
That's
who's
right.
been doing the wards and had all the experience, had the shocks and had the ups and downs, because they're the ones that will go, seen this before, that ain't working type thing.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing is like when people contact me or I work with them, all of what I teach has been based on what I've been through. So
Yes.
don't think you're doing it wrong because you go down. You will learn a lot about yourself, a lot.
Yes, you probably know more than you think you do because you'll definitely find your way.
Also, not numbing it as well. When you have like when you've got raw foods, fresh air, you might use some herbs or juice. You're very present in your disease. I feel like most of my life, it's like you go to a doctor, and I've been like, it's a surgery or a medication. And if not that, you feel like crap. So you have crappy food. So you really numb yourself and you're not really aware of what you're actually going through. And that when I first got well, anytime I got like a flu or something, was quite hard in the sense that you really had to sit with your pain.
Mhm.
Though I'd been through a lot of pain, but there's no you find your mind likes to dart off. Like I think a lot of my coping in the past used to be, I'm in so much pain. Okay, there's pain relief. Oh, I've got the doctor tomorrow. That'll be fine. Or I'll have something which numbs me to
You were
some. And the
reaching for
brain is
that.
yeah, and the brain likes that little bit of dopamine. When you don't get any dopamine in it, it's like a retrain. But once again, what always helped me, even at the start, even when I couldn't read that much, was to get on Instagram and look at all the photos that people had posted. I couldn't read a lot,
Mhm.
but that was enough each day to just motivate me. So there's different ways
Yeah.
to feel connected to something, right?
I was just going to say too, the difference between communities that might be surrounding like an illness or a condition and the communities that I'm in now is the community is focused on healing as opposed to focusing on the condition that we're healing from. And I love that, when it comes to our like communities that we have and the online, like everyone's talking about, I came through my condition like this, or I use this food to heal, or I use this diet. It's always talking about like that transformation, even if it's somebody talking about anything that even on a brief, like you weren't feeling well, how did you get through it? How did you cope? How did you make it through with your raw food diet and everything? And I feel like it's always focused on that transformation instead of just sitting completely in that. We have to feel that
Mm.
pain, but we have to figure out, okay, now just keep walking forward. How do we get through it? And that's the interesting thing I've found about being in the raw food community is it's all about that.
Yeah, so on the back of that, I saw a neuroscientist talk about the other day. I think she's a neuropsychologist, talk the other day about how the reward system in the brain wires based off adrenaline in situations where we have any safety. So if you're wound up, right, if you feel any sense of safety, your brain starts to give you dopamine and serotonin and make you feel safe, and oxytocin to some extent, make you feel safe, and it's like a gratification, right? And we learn from a young age whether we're really wound up and really scared. And this is what happens in abusive relationships, right? Is it's so overwhelming to a nervous system to imagine no partner anymore. How will I look after my kids? That they find safety and keep wiring their brain and strengthening those connections in the brain to stay with their partner, because the brain is getting some dopamine from feeling safe. And this over time strengthens and strengthens and strengthens. And it makes me think about how when we're sick, the gratification comes when, especially if you have illnesses for a long period of time and you feel isolated, and somebody's like, I have this constant tingling in my leg that keeps me up all night. Oh my God, I have that tingling too. I thought nobody else had. And you get in a whole conversation about a tingling leg, and there's a new tingling leg friend, right? And there's a whole group of you, right? And
Tingling
you
leg
don't
friend, I
see it
love it.
happening, but you are strengthening disease dopamine in the brain without the physical ailment. You're getting excited to speak to sick friends who are comparing notes on disease. And I was very lucky when I was very sick. Many of my doctors highly recommended I never go to those um, groups
Oh,
because
good.
of what happens, they see happen in them. As in, it becomes the whole personality.
Mhm.
Because they don't have much, someone doesn't have much, and they go to these groups, and then their whole, I'm talking to my friend, and we all you talk is symptoms and problems and symptoms and problems, and I 100% with you. It is so nice to come in here and see people are like, I've healed this, I'm trying this changed my life, and being really inspired. And I think it also becomes triggering to people who have been in like that kind of lower vibe
Mhm.
situations online, when people start putting each other down, because
Yeah.
it's all about lifting each other up and supporting. And once
And
again, it's going to feel nice.
sorry.
And also, sorry, just one more thing. I think when a lot of people get in these groups, it's like very specific, like it's just a very small niche group. Whereas that we're trying to encourage you to spread your wings, learn, feel supported by as many communities and groups and YouTube channels and podcasts and books, and interact with each other. Because if something goes wrong, or like that person that you're really looking up to isn't vegan anymore, or doesn't agree with you, you've got a whole system. It's multidisciplinary healing.
Yes, absolutely. And I was gonna say too, that could be why sometimes there's friction in a lot of relationships in our regular day-to-day life and maybe in communities
Yeah.
sometimes too, because you want to cling to that tingly leg friend or whatever you said, like sometimes
Well,
it's
yeah,
like you're leaving me behind by healing, but it's not, it doesn't have to be that way, but it can look that way, if you're both in a community of people who are essentially saying this is who we are, we've been dealing with this
yeah,
condition, and then this person is trying to bring them along with them, but they're not ready yet, or haven't, it that's where the I think friction can happen. But just be mindful of that, and that they might try to pull you back into it in a sense, like, oh, that's not going to work, that way. If you have all these communities that
yeah,
you're in with people who are positive and who are, want to hear about your struggles. I'm not saying ignore struggles ever, because we have illness, we have things that happen, but how we move to the next part of that, how do we heal, is where we're always trying to keep moving and keep your mindset back to the positive.
Yes. And so that topic was retreats, workshops, and events. But I
We
think
went
the
off on a
moral of the
tangent.
story there is that just involve yourself in as much as you can, and keep an open mind, because, and a lot of reason I think people are so defensive when they first come to this lifestyle is because of those wired neural connections in the brain that they're getting dopamine from trauma for so long. And you've got to, as you go through this, I feel like it's like 2 years in, about 2 years in, where 2.5, where I see other people, including myself, is you start to realize that it's safe. As in, it's safe that someone eats just greens. It's okay that someone does high fat. It's okay that someone does low fat. It's okay, instead of having this constant headbutting trauma response.
Because I think we forget that everybody is coming from a different place, a different space, a different life, and how it fits in their life, it may not be within that set of rules that you're coming from, or that, how your body responded. And I think, when we learn about digestion and we learn about, the different digestive systems and things, we do see a general, what's the word I'm looking at? Similarity. But we have to look at it as this has to work in people's real life at the age that they're at. So while you might be able to, just live on, juice or whatever for 90 days, that you can't force someone to that point in their life where that's not what their motivation is, and that's not what's going to bring them to the next day of staying raw. That's where we are in the beginning, and so much of us have to give that grace to, however you can do it is perfect, because you're having fun, you're making it work. Don't shoot down somebody for having, dates or something. It's too high in fat. It's like, you know what? I chose that, like we talked about last week, and didn't choose something else from my previous life. So it's yeah, I love it. And I'm excited to hear more about your retreat too. So coming back over to that.
Yes,
I went off
so
tangent again.
I am doing a podcast this afternoon with Tony again, where we'll go more over that. But it is in Thailand. I think the link is in the description. If not, I'll put it on after. But I'm very excited to meet lots of you and to have fun over there. But okay, the next topic, the next one for where to get help, and I like this because this is where um, I have lots of fun, is local farmers markets.
Oh, if
Oh,
Wanda, if you're watching, she was just sharing her farmer's market with me on our.
I love Wanda.
Yes, she's amazing. She's so good about that too, like learning
She
about her
is very
local
good
food.
about that. Now, the first thing I want to say about this is when I first started is I was on disability payments, and um, I just ordered my produce from the where did I get it from? Just from like a supermarket, right? And that's fine if that's what you do. But it doesn't mean that now and again you might want to go get some produce from the local farmers markets. It's such an immersive experience. I get a lot of my produce now from there. I love being amongst it. I love being, and a lot of the people aren't even vegan, right? And that's not the point. It's about you creating your life in a community, right? Who you show up to, who you see every Saturday morning. It is for me. I love like these 2 stalls that I go to. I love talking to the people. I love having a look at what they've made. Some of the stuff I can't eat, but it's so nice to see a lot, just everything in their very simplest form. Like even when they've got like maple roasted cashews, I don't eat them, but it's nice that they're just very simple. Or they'll do like a lot of it I can eat. That's probably the one thing I can't eat. They do like homemade olive oils. You've got like all these different dried fruits that I've never seen before. That fills my heart. It makes me
Mhm.
feel normal, very normal. I feel normal at a farmer's market. That's what we want to do, is like find our tribe, our space.
Not like at the grocery store when we have a cart full of, melons and greens and everything, and everybody's in line with different things. Everybody there is sort of into the living local food in one way or another. Even, like you said, it's not just vegan, but there's certain things. I think if we start looking in life how we are alike with others and not picking out the
I
differences,
like
that's
that.
how we can really merge all of us together to learn from each other. Like when you have someone, instead of saying, oh, they're not vegan, let's look at what do we have in common. We both love animals, or we both love lettuce, or whatever it is, and start to build on
Yeah,
that. And that's how you can build that bridge, I think, to talk with our non-vegan or pre-vegan or whatever you want to call it friends, and start to have them learn from you instead of shutting them out. I really truly believe that's been
I
so helpful in my
agree.
life.
I agree. It's that lens we come to, not just that person with, but the entire world. So it tells me so. I bring this up all the time. It tells me so much when I post a video and I'll put in the video like 3 recipes. I'm making juice, sea moss, cheese, and then I might do a salad, right? I'm talking about all these different things. I'm answering all these questions, and I posted it, and the live's over, and I'll come back and there'll be a comment, and it'll say, dyeing your hair is toxic. And I'll be like, are you serious? Out of that entire 2.5 hour video, which I just gave like to you guys, like I hope it helps some people. That's what you saw. No one ever comments back after I say that, but it tells me so much about how a person perceives the world. You can present a person with like the keys to heaven,
Hmm.
becoming the king of the world, or like living in the Garden of Eden, and they may probably not see it.
When
They'll
we
be
can
like,
get
that's not big enough, that's too polluted, and so
it's
it tells me,
something, right? Like they'll
it's
come up with
always, it's not
something.
just, so it tells me, and that's what people need to think about. If you constantly come at somebody with what is broken and what you can't do, and you're so right, is come at people with what you have in common. We're all human. We used to be these people, guys. You know,
Right, right.
like
Like,
we
let's,
used to be, and I just see in fact, I see people who go into this from love, especially self love, stay in it much more than people who are belted into submission, into becoming a vegan, because you are coming at it in a very attacking type way, and
hmm
the body doesn't want to sit there. So you want to find a way to love others, love what you do, love what you see, go to the farmers market, see what you love. Um,
I love
and
that.
yeah, I think you're spot on, JJ, with that. So farmers market is what I wanted to say there. Oh wow, we've
Congratulations,
almost been
Mallory.
talking for an hour.
We gotta go through. This is a sequel. What is that called now? Trilogy, or what do they call it when movies have like 4 parts?
It is a trilogy.
But I think we're
It's
bringing up important topics rather than rushing through. Sometimes that's when the best things are said, right?
100%. I think like the main thing for me that I want people to see is, I love what you said about seeing whatever someone presents, like seeing where you can like what you have in common with the person, as opposed to like how horrible a person is. But how the more you immerse yourself in different layers of this, and don't become like, because some people find something and they're like, this is the Bible, this is the way, like, this is the Bible of raw foods, and this is all I listen to, and I don't do anything else. And I think that is real, like that if a wheel falls off, that your whole reality collapses.
Hmm.
So to just connect, be in a community. um but so we did the farmers market, and the shopping center as well. Like, I know in America you guys don't have it, but we have what we call fruit shops here in Australia, where you go. I don't think you guys have this.
Fruit
So there's
stands, maybe outside.
no, mate,
Oh,
it's not. No, it's like we have. I grew up. We've always had fruit shops. So it's like an actual shop, which is just like, it's like all fruits, all vegetables, nuts, seeds, spices. Like we have two. Just, we're not a big area here. We have two just up here. Like I've always grown up with them, and it's like they go into the markets for us, and then they set up quite large shops that have.
nice.
They might also have yogurts. They sell juices usually. And I'm just used to it. And when I used to say the fruit shop, and people are like, we don't have fruit shops in America.
No, we don't. I was like, what
Yeah,
is that? That's
it's
a
not
great
organic.
idea. Maybe I should open one.
I think you should. Maybe we all need to open one. But yeah, they're
Right?
good. Like they've got like I love being in those places. I love being in the produce section, even at supermarkets. I just
Me
love being around
too.
fresh foods. Makes
I
me
was like, when I
happy.
first became set up the vegan knowledge, community and everything, or I would go in the store and like film myself. And I remember because it was during the pandemic, so I always had like my mask on, walking around the store, and people were looking at me, and I was just like, I loved it. I'm like showing people, here's where the sprouts are, and I'm like,
I
it didn't even
know.
matter. I kind of came out of my shell doing this because it was like, just talking to people just randomly. It wasn't necessarily something I did like that, or coming online. I mean, I was like, as a kid, we would film, you had a video camera and stuff, but like doing things like this, it almost inspired me, to want to share it with people.
Yeah, and whenever I do those type of videos where I film in shop, is I like what I love about being in those is a lot of my recipe ideas come together. I'm like, oh, look at the fresh beetroot. I will grate that with some like blood oranges are in as
We're
well. I'll put
seeing
that
her
over the top.
creativity in motion, huh?
Yeah, like it's like I become very like it just excites me. And to be honest, when I think back to being a child, like that's the place that did not excite me. It's like, which is quite sad, really. I was never like, I want to go to the fruit shop. Now I'm like, I have to go to the fruit shop. I want to go to the fruit shop. I want to go to farmer's market. So we all change.
Yes.
We all change. So let's see. We can do one more.
Shout out to
Uh,
Mallory there. She has one about teaching her first class at a local health food store. Congratulations. Oh, and congratulations, Laurie, if
oh,
you're watching from my group, and Muriel. I won't
so
go into the stories.
I like this one, and I've put out that I want to do this at the start of the year. So I know a lot of people into the new year do like 30 days raw, or they do fruits only or juices. But I want to see the results of having CMOS gel for 30 days. But this one is number 9 on the list, and it is raw. Involve yourself in raw vegan challenges to be part of the communities. So people might do 7 days. And I think that this is what I think. If you feel called to do these type of things, I'm all for it. But make sure you know what you're going back to. So like, because people might be eating a really bad lifestyle, and they think that they're going to eat fruit for 7 days and it's going to change their life. I think where these things are really great and fun to be part of is if you're already raw, you want to give your system a bit of a boost, you might do juice or fruit for like 30 days or 7 days to be part of a community, but know what you're going back to,
Hmm.
because that to me is the key, right? Um, what else have we got here?
I know I'm going
Uh,
back to salad.
yeah, accountability groups, and like you do the daily check-ins, and it makes you feel less alone, and I think it does. um
Agree.
but that's just another way of connecting with people, right? Why have I still got that comment up? So yeah, it's just another way of connecting with people by doing things like that. And as I said, is I wanted to just see, what inspired me to want to do 30 days, because I get go off. Like I am someone who I'll have it and then I'll be like, I usually am pretty good, but I want to set. And the reason is because Cara Brotman swears her hair length, could not grow it until she started doing CMOS every single day. And that's like the minerals, right? Also, all those minerals help, and amino acids help build collagen on the skin. So I was like, I want to see how healthy I can get my hair and my nails. So I'm going to be putting up like a poster that I'm going to be doing that if anyone wants to do it.
Awesome. Thank
What
you.
happens here? What happens here is we motivate you to want to look after yourself and eat fresh, whole, plant-based foods, have no pain, have the best health of your life, and fall in love with doing it. I feel like the whole reason like I stay raw and I can be raw and I do this is because I love it. And that's why it's going to look different for each people. Like this week, JJ might be on a date kick. That sounds so funny when I say it.
I just
Some
say I
weeks I'm
made
on
a
a
whole
juice
video
kick.
about 'em. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so hooked on dates," and I loved your joke last week. I think I
Oh my
clip it?
God. Yeah, I
I
saw
think
the
I did.
reel. I love it too. But like if it keeps you raw, like we talk about this as well, is how often I will just have a day of just basically eating avocado, or an after, let's not say a day here, an afternoon, and it'll be like I've just like my body needed that, and or dates, or and it's like it could have been much worse, right? If you don't listen to your body. So uh quite a while. I only eat one time a day. That's the trick. I don't think that's the trick for everybody, but I'm happy that works for you. I think JJ, you eat one time a day, don't you?
I do like 2 meals a day. Sometimes it's just once, but I usually do a fruit meal, but I go a long period of time, like not until sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, sometimes 6 in the evening. It just kind of like depends. My body just naturally does it. I don't really do it on any type of schedule. It's just seems to be when it gets hungry is somewhere later in the day. So I just kind of go with it because a lot of people like I'm not sure how to say your name, Ming says that they believe in intermittent fasting. So I'm like, well, I'll just go with it because it seems to be what my body wants instead of forcing myself to eat earlier.
Yeah, it's about listening to your body. So we've still got more to this. This will be a trilogy. This might just be a whole series um, about where to get help. Basically, creating your raw lifestyle, which I'm all about
That's a good
helping
name
you.
for one too.
Yeah, I like that too.
Maybe we'll do it
Okay,
next week.
so I also wanted to mention anybody, the NAMA Black Friday sale is on right now. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because juices are expensive, and this is the one time of the year there's like a massive sale of, I think the Nama J2 juicer, which I juice off all the time, has like 220 Australian dollars off. It's only for 10 days.
Oh,
So I'm
really?
mentioning it here.
The best one I've heard.
Well, like
I don't
I'm
have
being
one.
so for real. I couldn't get up after shingles. I juice, I get up. I couldn't get up again after last week. Juice, I get up. And I blended and used a nut milk bag, but it's so tedious. I've used a Breville before, and you put the produce in, and out the other side comes the produce. Like it's so
Right.
expensive. You're getting no juice, and you put the Nama in, and you get juice, and it's the time of year to buy, guys. So I am posting that. I will put it at the end of the video as well. And yeah, there's a party tonight,
Sky
and
20. Love it.
yes, Sky used Sky 20 at checkout, and you get, I think it's, yeah, well, I guess 20% off all of them. Each one has a different amount off, and I just know I had a look at the one that I use, which is the J2. Um,
If I put Sky
and
100, will it be free? I'm just kidding.
you can try, guys. You can try. Um, but yeah, it's something like it's one of those things, like I always say, I love my blender, which is Vitamix. I love my what is it called? Excalibur dehydrator, but my juicer I wouldn't change. They're like my three tool. Well, I also love my food processor because on Fridays we always make like a bread, like I put all the like extra things in there,
I feel
and make like breads and pizzas. So that I like too because it makes it coarse. So there's 4 products which I
I
like.
will say anybody I've ever heard talk about, like most products you hear like mixed reviews on, but anybody that ever talks about that juicer, they're like, I couldn't live without it once they try it. So
Yeah, it is.
it's
It's and I
definitely
think
good.
like I don't have much. I have a huge like I feel like I've got a long kitchen, but I don't want to take up any more bench space. Even I was looking at the Ninja Creamy, and I'm like, I just wouldn't use it enough for how much space. When I have like a whole island and I have like a 7 story cabana with like a whole level of kitchen appliances, I can put a Ninja Creamy in there. Guys, you got to manifest. You got to think about. I want to live on a coconut island with all these
Mhm.
levels.
Kathy always makes what do you call it, recipes with that,
Uh,
and I always want one too, Ninja. But I am just so you know how I am. I'll just be simple and it'll be sitting in the corner for me. I won't ever use it. It'll just be another little thing to sit on the counter. I'm like, I'll end up just opening an orange or something.
well, each of us do what works for us. So there's the Europe party is on tonight. I don't in America, I think it's at 3 a.m. But if you are at
Oh,
Europe, I think you're
goodness.
asleep right now.
I think I'll be
Um,
asleep then.
yeah, you will be asleep. Asia, Australia, and Europe, and it is Australian 7 p.m. my time. It's on my story anyway. The retreat live is this afternoon as well. Do you have any news you want to share, JJ, before we go?
Um, just basically, I said it earlier, I'll just breeze over it, but I wanted to congratulate Laurie. She's a new member of my group and was the VIP Sunday Spotlight. And Muriel actually put together, from not even knowing anything about raw foods, she's now wrote an ebook. So I'm so proud of her, and it's a free ebook. And just my
Oh,
website has the free meal plan, and also it has some other resources like the beginner guides at gladblueprint.com. And that's really all that's going on with me right now, except for, of course, I'm going to have a salad tonight, and that's always the same.
yes, and hopefully you post that because, well, salads make me happy. So we will see you guys next week for part 3 of where to get help with a raw food diet. And have a good day.
Thank you, Skye. I love these.
Bye, guys.